so many people didn't like this movie. I don't get it. I loved it.
Barside movie reviews.
So let me just ask you a question. Let's start there with a question. If you were able to start all over, new planet, new everything, would you? So imagine you were on a ship. The ship leaves Earth for a new planet. The thing is, the journey is going to take you 130 years. So you're put into deep hibernation, and it's fine. You're going to be fine when you get to the planet. You're put into deep hibernation, but there's a problem along the way. You wake up a little bit early. Not just a few months early. I mean, that's no big deal. 90 years too early. So you already know by default, you're going to die on this ship, right? Just by reason of age, you are going to die on the ship because you're not going to live another 90 years in the process of getting to the planet where you're going. If that is not the most fascinating setup you have heard for a story, then I don't know what is. And that is why I was looking forward to Passengers so much. This was more anticipated for me than Rogue One. I actually liked it better than Rogue One. I mean, this was a movie that I was like, wow, I cannot wait to see this thing fleshed out on the big screen. Let's go, let's get there. And I don't really know why the critics are giving this movie such bad marks. I understand some of the reasoning that they're saying, but on the whole, I loved this movie. I don't really have a whole bunch of bad things to say about this movie. So, let's talk about Passenger. So one of the things that I loved about Passengers, and I could see it from the trailers, was the chemistry between Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. They starred this movie alongside Michael Sheen. The chemistry between those two is so good in the trailers, and it has to be to make this story work. Because essentially, you guys, there are 3 people in this movie. 3 people. That's it. It's Michael Sheen, it's Chris Pratt, and it's Jennifer Lawrence, with the exception of a few more people that come in a little later on in the movie. But there are 3 people in this movie. So they have to perform really well to make this movie work, and they do. The chemistry between all 3 of them is really good, but the chemistry between Pratt and Lawrence is fabulous. And if you've seen the trailers, especially the first trailer for this movie, you could just see that it was there, and it comes through so strongly in this movie. And it's one of the reasons why I really was engaged with this story. I cared about both of them. I wanted to see how all of this was going to unfurl. And as this story is told, and we find out some things about how some of these events take place or why some of these events took place, there really are some interesting things that are introduced in this movie that I think people kind of just gloss over, but I think are very important, because I think there are questions that you would ask yourself if you were in this situation. They present some things that you might do if you were in this situation that I think are very important to making this film a very, very powerful piece. Now, I'm not saying much here because I don't want to spoil it. Some people would have liked to have seen more stuff done with what I'm talking about, and when you go see this movie, and I hope that you will, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But I thought that the way that the film handled the different aspects of this story was really good, which brings me to the story in this film. I thought it was amazing. I mean, this whole idea is amazing. By the way, this story is written by John Spade, if you didn't know. So if you like Doctor Strange, he worked on that script, as well as, what else did he do? It's on the tip of my tongue. Prometheus. If you like Prometheus, he worked on Prometheus. I know that some people didn't like that. I'm not a big Aliens fan, but Cody Leach, if you see this review, I know that you are a big Aliens fan. You like that trilogy. So John Spade worked on the script for Prometheus as well. And this story is amazing. This story is amazing. So this story, coupled with how this thing looked visually, cinematically, it just all worked so well together. The ship was beautiful. The cinematography really does come together to complement the story. I felt this story. I was pulled in this story. I mean, I was excited all the way through. Now, some people had some problems with the third act of this and kind of how it all wrapped up. And a lot of people said, yeah, well, the movie went to Hollywood. I didn't really think so. I mean, it's not like we didn't know what was going to happen. We knew from the trailers that there were going to be some dilemmas that they had to work through. I didn't really consider that going Hollywood. I consider that to be something that we kind of knew was going to happen within this movie. I mean, nobody thought that they were going to take a 90-year trip, right? And we were just going to watch them for 90 years on the ship. So I would have much rather the ending that we got in this movie, which I thought was actually fine. It worked out well for me. I believed it. I wasn't like, oh, get out of here, man. I can't believe they tried that. I thought it worked well. There was somebody that mentioned an ending that would have been an alternative ending, which I thought would have been really cool. I'm not going to spoil that again. Jeez, I want to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. which I will say would have been a pretty cool ending to this movie. That could have been an alternate way that they could have ended this film, but I really liked Passengers. I thought it was awesome. I think it's unfortunate it's getting the critic response that it is, because I think this movie is a very entertaining movie. I have no doubt that if you go see this movie, you will really enjoy it. I think conceptually the idea is really interesting. I think that the way that this whole thing fleshes out in terms of how they unfurl the story is really good. The acting, the chemistry is great in this movie. I thought the CGI, which let me define, because I was talking to someone and they were saying, one of the things they were saying about my reviews, which I'm happy about, they said sometimes I use terms that they didn't know about, and so when they go see movies now, they understand these terms, so it helps them to enjoy the movies a little bit better. I think that's cool. So CGI is computer generated images. So I thought that the CGI in this movie was really good. Some people had problems with it. They said that the CGI seemed obvious. Not to me, it seemed really seamless. I mean, this movie was beautifully done production-wise to me, just hands down. So you can probably tell that I really love Passengers. I mean, it's going to end up being one of my favorite movies of the year. I thought it was well acted, well written, and I thought it was pretty smart as well. Fair enough to those who didn't like the third act, but I didn't have any problems with it. Guys, go out and see this movie. I am giving Passengers an A-. Hey guys, I do want to mention that this is not a kid-friendly movie, but I do think this is a movie that adults will enjoy. Please make sure if you like this to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to comment and hit that circular button and subscribe and help us to reach our goal of 500 subscribers. Guys, again, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And with that, I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.